How much weight did I lose during my first 3 months on Zepbound? Today is going to be short and sweet. I will share my weight loss goals and how much I've lost so far. In our appearance driven social system, toxic productivity and diet culture are considered especially heinous. In Denver, Colorado, a dedicated goal getter seeking to crush these vicious lies is the founder of an elite squad known as Heal Thy Spirit. These are her stories. I'm Tia, a 45-year-old mother of 3 adult children. As mentioned in previous episodes, I have been overweight my entire life and recently decided to try Zepbound, the GLP-1 and GIP and agonist. I spelled that wrong in my notes here. So the GLP-1 and GIP agonist. I put antagonist, so that's actually the opposite of what I'm trying to say here. But I'm not going to get into the science of it. There is plenty of information out there if you want to search the interwebs. The point is that I'm doing the thing. And here's what I've experienced for the last few weeks. First, I am sharing my story. For anyone who's curious, you're welcome here, regardless of whether you are in your own weight loss journey. If you are on medication for weight loss, you are welcome. If you are not on medication for weight loss, you are welcome. If you are considering weight loss medication as an option for yourself, or you are adamantly against weight loss drugs of any kind, you too are welcome. The more we know, the more we grow. And that's why I'm talking about these things on the show. And I was not trying to make that rhyme. I'm not a doctor or a healthcare professional. I am taking very specific steps in my personal weight loss journey, which are catered to my health. And whether you agree or disagree with my choices, you're encouraged to be here. I am not here to judge you or to tell you how to live your life. And in no way is this meant to be taken as medical advice. I can only hope that you will hear me with an open mind and consider the fact that what's right for you may not be right for me, and vice versa. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get to it. Real quick, I know I said I wasn't going to get into the science of it, and truth be told, science is not my forte, so I'm not going to really, dive deep or anything like that. Like I said, there's plenty of videos and articles and information that's out there if you want to learn more. I just want to give a basic overview because I had mentioned in a previous video that I personally, before more than like 3.5 months ago, I did not even know what this was. So there might be someone who happened upon this video that has no idea what I'm talking about. So for that reason, I'm just going to give a brief explanation of what it is. Zepbound is a GLP-1 and GIP agonist, which means that it mimics, that's what agonist means. It pretends to be or acts like two hormones that we have in our bodies that already exist. It is not the actual, it goes into your bloodstream and helps those or activates those hormones to make them work when there may be, some sort of deficiency, or for whatever reason, the person who is taking the medication without it may not have those natural signals. They basically don't work properly. The medicine helps them do what they're supposed to do. The active ingredient is tirzepatide, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. Mounjaro is the name brand medication for diabetics who are taking the same drug. But if you go to the doctor and you have diabetes and this is something that is prescribed to treat it, then the doctor will prescribe Mounjaro. If you are going to the doctor for obesity treatment, as did I, then you would get prescribed Zepbound. There's other types of drugs out there. I'm not going to talk about those here because that's not my story. And again, there's plenty of information out there, but I don't want to talk about anything that has not been my personal experience. So we'll leave it at that. A second thing that this drug does is that it slows the emptying of the stomach. So basically, when you are eating, it stays in your stomach longer before it goes through the digestion process, which makes you feel full longer. You know, if your belly's full, you're not going to tend to want to eat, or you'll feel satiated or satisfied. I want to bring up here, because I did previously have weight loss surgery, and this is something that I've heard other people talk about, with, you know, what's the difference, and you did that and it didn't work. The difference really for me, being members of both communities, is that with the surgery, it's basically a physical manipulation of your body to make it so that you cannot eat. That feeling of wanting to eat food does not go away when you have weight loss surgery, at least the type of surgery I had. I had a laparoscopic band, which is a band that's placed over the top of your stomach. It's like a silicone band like this, if I can get it to show correctly. And there's saline inside the band where you can tighten it to make the hole smaller, so that there's like a pouch above at the top part of your belly. So your whole belly is still there. There's just like a little band around the top portion of it, so that that part gets full faster, so that you physically can't put more food in there when it's completely filled up, because of this little opening in the bottom that where the food goes. So like I was saying, with that, it doesn't take away your desire to eat, but physically, you just basically have to train yourself that if you eat things that you're not supposed to eat, that would get stuck in that, block that hole, or if you overeat, then you will get sick. And so it's more of like, you think about reward and punishment. It's like, how big is the reward of eating the food? Sorry, my background is going out, but how big is the reward of eating the food on the one hand versus the other hand of, you want to get that, that feeling of happiness, that momentary gratification over being sick. So that is basically how this is different. What I have found in my 3 months experience is that it actually takes away. You hear people, I've never heard the term food noise before, but before I was on the medication, before I even knew about the medication, I remembered having a conversation with someone and saying that I would be, because I love food, I still to this very day. And I remember saying that one day I was saying, how I would be eating one meal, like I'd be having lunch and thinking about or planning what I was going to have for dinner. And the person looked at me with raised eyebrows like that was weird. Well, lo and behold, I had found there are thousands, maybe millions of people who have had that very thought. And I thought I was all alone in that, because the person I was talking to made me feel like I was crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I think about food all the time. And I mean, to be fair, if my brain is preoccupied with something else, like if I'm working or, doing homework or busy with something else, even pre-Zepbound days, I would get in a zone where I would forget to eat, but it was merely because I was busy doing something else. And I'm very, I zone in and I'm very focused on the task at hand at all times. Like I have this, being a mother of boys can help you tune out the outside world. So I am laser focused on whatever I'm doing to my, full extent the entire time until, I've completed that task or whatever. So the difference I find is that with, and I mean, I used to be one of those people, I would have to set a reminder or a timer to remind myself to eat or to drink water because I was so busy and preoccupied doing something else. Now, that being said, whenever that task was completed, I would be like, man, I'm hungry. And then it was, and then of course, because I haven't eaten all day or for several hours, then I would overeat or not eat the right things. So, not necessarily eat too much, but the things that I was eating were high calorie, low density, not doing anything for my body. With the Zepbound, that lingering thought goes away, um, and it's or is muted. And if other things mean the same. If I'm focused on a task and I'm not thinking about food, when I finish the task, I'm still not thinking about food. I would just go on to the next thing. So that's where it's different. And from a mental standpoint, I cannot explain how mentally excruciating it is. And I'm talking about the weight loss portion of it now, to want something like food so badly and to know that you can't have it because it's actually going to make you sick. Like, I can't even put together words for how that feels. And even when I try to explain now, I can't really explain how the medication is changing that, like how I feel, but I can tell you that it's like a huge weight. It's like a complete relief that there's so much extra space in my brain. And I'd like to think that my brain is pretty big and there's lots of ideas in there and there's lots of things that that energy could be expended upon that are more productive than overeating or obsessing about food. So there's that. Now, the second thing, that's step down. Number 2, what's my dose? Everybody typically, in most cases, starts with the smallest dose and it can kind of titrate up in increments until you and your healthcare provider find the right dose that works for you. Currently, I was on 2.5, the lowest dose, or I forget what they call it, the starting dose. There's another word, but I can't think of it. If I do, when I edit, I'll put it up here. But it's a dose that basically just introduces the drug to your body and helps you get used to it so that you can test. Kind of like the bleed test, they have you when you're cleaning your carpet and they tell you to spray a little portion that's not visible to see if it discolors the carpet. That's basically what a 2.5 dose is. It's like giving you a little taste to see if it's going to cause you any side effects, so that your body can get used to it. I was on that for 2 months, or 8 weeks. And then I moved up to the 5.0 dose. I think the first month, I'm looking over at my calendar, I lost 5.8 pounds, but that in the whole month. But that includes, at the beginning of the month, because I do weigh every day. And before you yell at me or put nasty comments below, know that I am not triggered. I have done a lot of mental health over the years, and I've never had any sort of eating disorder other than the fact that, I did it too much and I loved food too much, but no clinical disordered eating is in my history. So I'm just more of a data-driven person where I like numbers. I like to see what's out there and how tweaking this or that will change the result. And so I have been weighing daily for about 3 years or so. And I'm not, if it's up, it's up. If not, then great. So I did on April 1st, I actually weighed 245.4 pounds. And I did my first Zepbound shot 3 weeks later, um, on the 21st. And yeah, 3 weeks later, one day shy of 3 weeks later. And at that time I was at 240.8. So I'm going about a 240.8. So the entire month, so I had already lost 5 pounds essentially, is what I'm saying. That's the point of where I'm going with this before I even started that. And excuse me. And the last 2 weeks of the month I was on Zepbound, and I didn't lose any weight those first 2 weeks that I was on the shot. I stayed with it a full second month because, well, one, in my research, I found that you shouldn't titrate up because, too quickly, because it only goes up to 15. And once you hit the maximum dose, then you have nowhere to go. So I'm trying to go as slow as possible, do this the healthy way. And I did definitely have restriction, or what do you call it? Not restriction, is more of a lap band word from my, but I had satiety from, I wasn't hungry. It usually picked up about the third Wednesday. So I take my shot on Sunday, and then I felt pretty normal all day Sunday, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, late Tuesday into Wednesday would be when I'd be like, yeah, I'm eating because it's time to eat, not because I'm actually hungry. And then that would last, all the way through probably Friday afternoon, sometimes into Saturday. And it was doing that for, good 2 months. Then at the end of 2 months, I moved up to the second dose of 5.0. And I only stayed on that for a month because I found that I was starting to get hungry sooner. So it felt like it was actually, in some instances, sometimes I felt like it wasn't working as well as 2.5 typically was. The month of May, I actually lost 6.8 pounds for the whole month. And that's, half the month on 2.5 and half the month on 5.0. And then the month of June, I lost 6.6 pounds for the entire month, which that was the full month on 5.0. So today, at the time of this recording, it's July 21st. It's a Sunday. I just took this morning at 8 a.m. I took my second dose of 7.5, and yeah, things are good. It does kick in a lot quicker, and it lasts a lot longer. I already, I took it at 8, and it's 1 now. And I actually had to split my lunch kind of into 2 because I just wasn't hungry. Like, I felt hungry around 10. I had my protein coffee after my workout, which is, standard, what I do on a Sunday. And then I did all my measurements, and I made my protein coffee, which is basically a coffee drink. Well, I use different options, and maybe I'll talk about this in another video, but it's basically like the chai protein coffee, which has 20 grams of protein. I mix that with 10 ounces of water, and I actually brewed this morning because I like my coffee strong. So I brewed this morning 6 ounces of espresso coffee and mix that together. And I also put 2 scoops or 20 grams of a protein collagen in whatever morning coffee drink I have, and blended that up and poured it over ice. And that's what I had, for my breakfast. Ever since the lap band, I haven't been a huge breakfast eater to begin with because of the lap band. I just never would really feel hungry until the middle of the day, or be able to, because the banding is tight and kind of, or tighter in the morning, and it loosens up as the day goes on, if that makes sense. I'm sure it doesn't. But, it's easy for me to just have coffee in the morning and that's it. I usually eat lunch around 11 because that's what time I take my lunch break from work. And I've been doing that for years. My body's just used to it. Zepbound or no Zepbound, that's kind of how it works. As far as side effects, and I said this is going to be quick, but I'm talking super slow, and apparently it's not going to be quick. So sorry, it'll be a normal episode. um, my side effects, I haven't really experienced any side effects. None of the nausea that you hear people talking about, like zero. I have experienced constipation in the beginning when I was on the 2.5, like probably the first, 100% the first week. Like I was freaking out because it was like 3 days and I'm pretty regular, just not to, gross you out. But yeah, if I don't go and I'm like, you can, that routine that I have, organizational skills or whatever, I'm like clockwork with everything. Like, when I was getting a period, I'm on an IUD. Side note, nothing to do, anything to do with what we're talking about. But I don't really get a period because of that. I just wanted to be clear that I'm not in menopause quite yet, or at least I don't think I am. But when I was, on a regular, either not on birth control or on a regular, pill or NuvaRing, I would get it like clockwork on the same day every month. It would last for as long as it would last. I go to the restroom, same time every day, every single day without fail. I am just a creature of habit. So that freaked me out to go 2 or 3 days. And, I attribute a lot of that to I do struggle with getting water down. I always have, maybe because of the lap band as well, because I'm just not thirsty. Like even if I'm drinking like a soda, I can get like one, 20-ounce soda and not drink it like in a whole day. Like I'll drink a little bit. Once I've had enough, I'll put it in the fridge and it'll take me like 3 days to get through a whole soda sometimes. But so water has just been a challenge trying to get all the water in. It has been a struggle and remains a struggle and something that I'm working on to improve things. But all of that said, I fixed that issue. I do take a fiber supplement daily. My son that I was talking about in the video before, when I sent him my end of the week nutrients for my fitness pal, he was like, "You need more fiber." This is even like before Zepbound. So and I don't like fruit, which is another habit I think that developed from the lap band. It's not that I don't like it, like it tastes good to me, but it's not comfortable for me to eat it. So I don't most of the time. I can, have a couple grapes or a few strawberries or something like that, but it's just not the texture and it just doesn't work with me very well. So there's that. So I fixed that I would started putting Miralax in my coffee every day, and I would drink that every day for about the first 6 weeks, and I would take Colace stool softener before bed, and that fixed the problem relatively quickly, probably within a few days, and I just kept doing that for like the first 6 weeks. And then I wanted to like test it. I kind of weaned myself off of it to see if I would continue going. And, it has been a success. I haven't taken Colace in forever, but I do have Miralax in either coffee or tea the day before I do my shot. So like on Saturday or Sunday morning, just more prophylactic to prevent me from experiencing that issue. Some people experience fatigue, and initially I had none of that. In the beginning, like when I was on 2.5, it felt like I had more energy, like 100%. I was up on time with no alarm, which, I'm a morning person now. I didn't used to be. But zero problems. But I think now I also donate plasma 2 times a week, and I've been also doing that for years. But at the time that I started Zepbound, I was on like a deferral because I had gone, I don't know, like a month before all of this came up. And the machine that they had me hooked to something malfunctioned with it. So it took my initial, you know, donation. And what the machine does is it takes, like blood out, and then it spins in a machine that separates your plasma from the rest of your blood, and then it gives you the rest of your blood back. So you're getting a bonus lesson today if you had no idea how that works. Um, and plus, at the end of the 8 cycles, it does that like a number of times until it gets enough plasma that it needs for the donation, and then it gives it back to you, and it gives you a dose of saline. Well, that day that the machine broke, it took my plasma, spun it, but then the machine broke before it could return my red blood cells. So essentially, it was like I did a normal whole blood donation, like if you go to the Red Cross or, one of those other places to donate blood, and then you can't do it again for 56 days because it takes that long for all of your blood cells to regenerate so that you have enough of your own to be able to share it with someone else. So because of that, I couldn't donate for 56 days. And then in the interim, like halfway through that point, is when I started taking Zepbound. Two things totally separate, have nothing to do with one another. But I just want to mention it to be fair, because I honestly don't think that my low fatigue is a result of the medication. I think it is a result of the plasma donation, because those are the days where I feel most tired, is when I usually do it first thing in the morning, like before work. So by the end of the day, I am done. So anyway, there's that. And then I am cold all the time, which I think might be a little bit to do with Zepbound, but I live in Denver, so it's hot here in the summer. It's not humid, but it is hot. And I keep a blanket or a sweater on. And you probably, the last 2 videos that are also recording today, I had my sweater on. So and my heat running in my office, and it's literally, I don't know what the temperature is, but I'm sure it's hot outside. Right now it is 75. Okay, so not so hot today, but at any rate, um, I run my heater in my office in the summer with the AC on in the rest of the house, but that's not anything new. I've been doing that for years too. Always took my portable heater with me to the office when I work in an actual office. So take it for what it is. Food choices. So I am currently, my calorie goal for the day is 1,327 calories. I came up with that number using the TDEE calculator, which is online, a way that you can go in and plug in how much calories your body needs to just operate, like breathe, and for your heart to pump, and things like that. And it tells you how much calories you need for those daily functions, and based on your activity, what you can reduce that to be in a deficit. Like you can tell it whether you're looking to gain weight or lose weight, and it'll calculate what an appropriate, and it's not perfect, but it's a good guide to help you figure it out. So I calculate for me, for my height and my weight, and I do recalibrate it every month as I lose weight, so that, I'm still making sure that I'm getting enough calories and operating in a deficit. Because contrary to popular belief, or maybe not unpopular belief, this drug is not magic. The drug itself does not make you lose weight. It only gives you a little bit of help to help you do all the other work that you have to do yourself in order to lose weight. Now, I mean, I know there are stories about people that don't exercise and they don't eat healthy and all of those things. That's not my story. I'm not that person. I'm not going to speak to that, because that's, I don't have any experience or knowledge with that. So I do have, I eat about 1327. Just because that's what I eat, that does not mean that is right for you. You need to go by your height, your weight, and what your doctor or healthcare provider tells you. I have average 100 plus grams of protein every day. My next video will tell you how to do that. Fiber intake between 20 and 25 grams a day. Again, that's a little bit of a struggle. Water, I have a goal, a stretch goal of 80 ounces a day. I feel good if I hit 64. I rarely hit that on a daily basis, but I am hydrated. So again, everybody's different. I'm still shooting to try to, maintain 80 per day, every day. Supplements, I do take multivitamin and some other supplements. I'll do a video about that in the future, but I don't want to keep you too long. As far as exercise, I exercise at least 4 times a day, up to 6 or 7 times a day, just depending on what I'm doing. I'm probably different from most people because I like exercise once I do it, once I get in a routine. Now, if I get off track and don't do it for a while, I know the pain that I'm going to feel when I go back. So just keep not going back. But when I am into it, I am into it, like I'm all in. And of that 4 to 6 or 7 days, then I am doing strength at least 3 times a week. Most every exercise, I'm using some sort of weight other than body weight, but that's just my preference. For cardio, I'll do HIIT and I like kickboxing. I call it fake kickboxing because I went to a kickboxing gym and did real kickboxing and realized that what I do at home in front of my computer or TV is not really kickboxing. So there's that. And some other things. So, I'll talk about that in the future as well. But I wanted to give you a good overview of what is what. So for the results, this is what everybody's been wanting to know. I have lost 18.6 pounds total so far since starting Zepbound, which is an average of 1.43 pounds per week or 0.2 pounds per day. The first 2 weeks, as I mentioned before, I didn't lose anything. And there are weeks, if here's a graph. I don't know if it's going to be on this side or this side because I'm new at this. So there is a graph here that you can see what I go up or down week to week for the first 13 weeks that I've been on. And even if you take out that first 2 weeks that I didn't lose anything, I'm still averaging, if you take that 18.6 and divide it by 11 weeks, which is when I started losing in week 2, then that's still 1.7 pounds per week, which is under the 1 to 2 pounds that is considered healthy by the experts. So slow and steady wins the race. It's a marathon, not a sprint. No comments, no opinion about, those. You probably have heard crazy stories about people losing much more than that in a much shorter amount of time. My site is vertical, not horizontal. You'll get that later. Wink, wink to my sisters in Christ. So here's a little chart that I did, and it shows, definitely each week is different. My starting weight, 240.8 pounds. My current weight as of this morning, 222.2 pounds. My goal weight is about 165 pounds, give or take. According to the BMI chart, I would still be overweight at 165, but I feel like 10 pounds lighter than what I was in high school would make me feel comfortable as to having hit my goal, my life goal, what's what it feels like at this point. And so to date, that is about, I have already reached 25% of my goal, as you see in this chart here. So the total 76 pounds is what I am trying to lose, which is a bold 31% of my total starting body weight. This all means that I have 57.2 pounds to go. So far in the 3 months since starting, I have lost 8% of my starting weight, which means compared to what some people who are smarter than me use to classify whether or not a weight loss drug is effective. If you lose 5, they say, I'm not saying, I don't know, I'm not a professional, but they say a drug is considered effective if it helps you lose at least 5% of your starting weight within the first 12 weeks. So far at 8%, I'm doing well. I'm happy with it, and we're going to keep going. And that's it. So you have it, the results of my first 90 days on Zepbound. Thanks for tuning in. If you've made it this far in the video, please drop a flex arm emoji in the comments. And you know what's next. If you enjoy the episode, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell on the YouTube. Or if you're listening on a podcast player, then write a review so that others can find me and also benefit. So a quick recap before I wrap it up. Zepbound is a weight loss drug that mimics two hormones in the brain, which control appetite and the urge to overeat. One of the components includes slowing the emptying of your stomach, which helps you to feel fuller longer, but can also lead to side effects like constipation, depending on what you are actually eating. I just had my second shot of 7.5 milligrams this morning and have experienced minimal side effects in all the weeks that I've been on it. Lost 18.6 pounds in exactly 90 days or 13 weeks on the shot. It's not magic. I work hard to eat right and move my body. This is a tool that is helping me to do those things better. In the next episode, I will be sharing what I am coining Tia's Top Tools, protein edition for this one. I wanted to call it Tia's Top Tool Tuesday or Tuesday Top Tools or something like that, but because I like alliteration. And also, if you know anything about me, then you know it's doubtful that I would be able to consistently post a video on a Tuesday each week. So I just left it at Tia's Top Tools. And each week it'll be something different that I'm talking about. It's going to be, hopefully good, hopefully helpful. Anyway, please come back to find out how I do consume 100 plus average grams of protein daily while maintaining my calorie goal and continuing to lose weight. I hope you're interested enough to come back. And if not, that's totally okay. I thank you for listening today. It's always great to share a testimony when it comes out in my favor. 18 pounds down is definitely favor. Until next time, remember to heal thy spirit for a healthy spirit. May joy and peace be yours in abundance. Take care.